Okay, so this is the third tutorial in the image gallery series where you're going to add FancyBox functionality. So let's take a look at the FancyBox site, get a demo of that. Click on an image, it lightboxes over top of everything else. We'll be using the image gallery option, which we add a little bit of code, and it allows us to connect the images so we can click through. Now there's a lot of different options for FancyBox 2. So you can add the thumbnail helper, which will give you all of the images, tiny little thumbnails at the bottom that are connected to that gallery. I'm not going to go into that in here, but all of that is available for demo on the fancyapps.com/fancybox site. So to start off with this tutorial, you're going to need to go to fancyapps.com/fancybox so that we can download all of the code. Now if you Google this, and if you just Google FancyBox and don't know what you're looking for, you're going to wind up on fancybox.net, which is the original FancyBox 1 version that no longer works properly. And there is a notification here at the top that says that they released FancyBox 2, and that takes you to the Fancy Apps FancyBox site, which is what you should be going to, or you can Google FancyBox 2 and it'll bring you to the Fancy Apps FancyBox site. So to start off, we are going to scroll all the way down on the page, click on download version 2.1.5, and it'll download to your site or to your computer. I've already got it downloaded here. And so inside you'll see a whole bunch of different folders, and we'll walk through what we need to do with these in a second. But there is a demo folder in here which has an index.html file, so if we open that up, this is a workable, let's open up the live preview. So this is a workable demo version of FancyBox that they provided for you, so you can break it apart and see how everything works. So this is a jQuery based application, meaning we need to install a jQuery library before anything can work. It's got an optional mouse wheel plugin. I'm not going to be talking about this, so if you wanted to dive into that, there's more information about that on their website. We then need to call up the FancyBox jQuery or JavaScript and the FancyBox CSS files. Again, button helper not necessary, thumbnail helper not necessary for this demo, but if you wanted to do something like that, again, check out the site and this demo index.html file. We are going to be using the media helper since I'm requiring you guys to use video. What this does is it allows you to use FancyBox for a gallery of both video and still images. Well, it skipped over my... Oops. Huh, that's broken. Well, bad example. So here we've got a video and a still image. So the media helper allows you to combine both videos and still images into one gallery. So that's why we'll be talking about that. And then this is the JavaScript, at least this first few lines here from 28 to 34 is what we need to make it actually work. And then the media section from lines 146 to 162. And then the closing part of the script, 202 and 203. And then this shows you how to apply, or apply FancyBox. So really, to apply it, you put this on any link that's wrapping your image tag. The link gets the class FancyBox. We are linking the link to the image that we're using as our thumbnail. What they do, they have a big and a small version, but since we, in the last image gallery demo, we created these thumbnails that are made from the original image, so you don't need to worry about making two different thumbnail and large images. Data-FancyBox-group equals gallery. This gallery can be named anything, so gallery 01, and as long as each one of these FancyBox group names is the same. Let's see here, this is under sample image gallery. So as long as they're named the same, they're going to work together. If they're named differently. So now only these two images will cycle because they're named gallery 2, and these two images will cycle because they're named gallery 1. Hope that makes sense. And that's it. That's all you need to know. So let's get this working for our page. I did mean to check to see if this worked. Didn't. Let me get that working real quick before we move forward. FancyBox Media. Alright, rather than the class just FancyBox, we want it to be FancyBox Media. And now, of course, this doesn't work as a live view, or it's got to be hosted for it to work, but, well, crap. Oh well, we'll worry about that on a case-by-case basis. Let's just get moving on this. So, to start off with, let's close our demo folder. We're going to go into the lib. No, we're not. They provide a version of jQuery in the download, but we're not going to use it. So let's go back into our assets folder, and we're going to create a new folder called JS, which stands for JavaScript. Now, you can download the most recent version of JavaScript and put it in here. But what I like to do, jQuery.com hosts all of its jQuery libraries, and so you can just call that up. So if you go to code.jQuery.com, and we're not going to use jQuery 2 yet, we're just going to use jQuery 1x, and currently the core is 1.12.2, so we're going to click on uncompressed. It's going to give us this little lightbox area. We're going to copy that script code, and we're going to put it in here at the top of our, or inside of our header at the top of our HTML page. And so paste that in. I've already got it pasted in here. And then I've got the demo file open. This is nice for copying and pasting. So I've got the add FancyBox main JS and CSS files, which are on line 13, 14, and 15 of the FancyBox demo. So I copied that and I pasted that in here. Now, you do need to be aware that you need to change where this is pointing to. So we need to move FancyBox.js and FancyBox CSS into the correct folders. So in source, we've got FancyBox.jx or JS. So I'm going to copy that into my JavaScript folder, which I've already got in there. I already copied this before. I'm also going to take this helpers folder and copy that into my JavaScript folder. And then into my CSS folder, you're going to want to copy jQuery FancyBox CSS and all of these images. There's 3 PNGs and 3 GIFs, and paste those into CSS. Your CSS file in your assets file. Okay, so then we need to change where this points to. So the JavaScript is going to point to assets/js/jQuery FancyBox, and then the FancyBox CSS is going to point to assets/css/jQuery FancyBox CSS. Now we're going to add this media helper. I just couldn't get it working right there, but we'll try probably in another video. We're already at 11 minutes here. We'll try in another video to get this media helper. So again, I copied this here from lines 25 and 26, and you path out this to the correct place, assets/js/helpers, and to the jQuery FancyBox media JavaScript file. And then this section that I called actually make it work is from line 28 to 34. I copied that in there and pasted. And then we want the media helper section. So from line 146 to 162, I copied that and pasted that in there. And that's that section there. Just want to make sure that closes correctly. There we go. There we go. Okay, so then we need the closing piece, so we need lines 202 and 203, which is the closing tag for the jQuery and the closing tag for the HTML, saying that this is the end of the script. And so paste that in there. Alright, so this page is exactly what Gallery 2 was when we wrapped it up. I've added a few things. So in our link tag here, I've added a link to the same image that we're calling up here in our image tag. So just copied and pasted that in. And then I added a class to each one of the links called FancyBox, and this data-fancybox-group called gallery name. Now, like I said before, you can name this anything you want for those images that you want linked together. So if you have more than one gallery on a page, say you're showing your web work and your print work, you might want to call this print work, and this would be called print work, and this would be called print work, and then maybe this is where your web work starts, so you can call this web work, etc. I'm just going to undo all those. Alright, and that's it. So you add the class FancyBox and the data FancyBox group to each one of your links, and get this open, and then it just works. Now this portfolio image, this caption that's down here, is being pulled up by this link title. So if you wanted this to be a clear description of what your image is, you would, let's just say coastal image is good enough for me for the first one. Oh, I guess that wasn't the first one. Paste that in there, save. And there's beach image, there's coastal image, and then you would change each one. For the title of the link that wraps around the image. All right. Well, let's spend a couple minutes and try to get this media working. Let me pause the video and I'll come right back.